Hello, this is Julie, the Yarn Yogi, and I'm coming to you with another episode of my podcast. Thanks so much for joining me. If you're new to my channel, I talk about yarn projects, knitting that I've been doing recently. I often include some stretches for knitters, usually seated stretches. And I often include another topic that I'm interested in, or that perhaps some travels that we're doing, or something of local interest around the area where I live in Pennsylvania. So if that sounds interesting to you today, please join me. My topic for today that will be other than knitting is retirement planning. It's been something I've been pondering lately, and so we'll talk a little bit about that in this episode. I'm not a financial planner. I'm just an ordinary person who is talking out of my own experience as someone over 65 who has been in the planning process with my husband for several decades now and preparing for this time of life. And we're sort of slowly moving into this time of life, working part-time now, and just learning how to budget and continue budgeting as we have been for decades. But it changes from season to season. And so are we ready for that change? What is important? Why is this important? Why is saving for retirement important in your 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond? And really, I mean, your planning and your saving should begin even before your 50s. So anyway, if that sounds interesting to you, please join me. I will start with a finished object, and that is what I'm wearing. I am so thrilled to be able to be wearing my Florence Miller cardigan. It is finished. I will put a short video on this episode about the making of the button band, just to remind you of your own button band experiences, or maybe if you're like me, I had never done a double knitted button band, and so I was sort of dreading it, but the process was much easier than I thought it was. It just takes a long time, but really important because it gives such a finished look to the piece. So I'll stand and let you see. Oh, my head is cut off, but you're looking at the sweater anyway. So I added some buttons, just simple black buttons that don't detract from the sweater. I didn't want the buttons to be a focal point. I did go the snap route, so a snap behind the button rather than buttonholes, because I thought I would always keep it closed, which I do. There's so much room in it, there's really no reason to wear it open. So I saw that snap idea behind the button from Kutava Kika, the Finnish knitwear designer, and she had finished off a cardigan that way, and I thought that was something interesting to try. And so far I do like it because I just wear it with the buttons closed anyway. So as you can see, it's a roomy fit. It's a boxy cardigan. You can make it as short. I tend to go on the shorter side because I'll always be wearing something under it, but it is a nice comfy knit. The sleeves turned out perfectly for where I like to wear them. I did go a little bit shorter on the sleeve before blocking because I had heard from other knitters that this Noro Madara yarn does grow quite a bit in the blocking process, and it wasn't huge or out of control, or I thought it was very manageable. What I wanted to do is keep the cuffs from becoming too big, so I squeezed them together when they were wet and just smoothed out the arms. They hit the perfect length that I wanted them to. So I'm grateful to that. For that process, the button band turned out really fine, and the the yarn, which felt a little dry in the beginning when I was working with it, I was a little puzzled by the feel of the yarn. It softened up. It's beautiful and flexible and really bloomed with the blocking process by making it wet, drying it for several days, drying it flat, and it worked out well. So not much more to say about this. It was knitted on number 9, US 9, 7, and 9 needles, and I would make it again. It was an enjoyable knit with the raglan sleeves, and not difficult at all. And it goes pretty fast on number 9 needles, larger needles. So yes, I definitely recommend that. She does include a tutorial if you want to double check on anything. If you don't remember how to do a button band or whatever, the decreases or the make one left and right, yeah, it's all there, and she's got it outlined for you in a very nice way. So that is what I'm wearing. The other finished object that I worked on during my vacation, my last episode was filmed in Colorado in the Rocky Mountains during vacation. We were in Colorado and Kansas. And so check that video out because I have some footage from there and a lovely cabin that we stayed in for some vacation. But I was working on this gift knit, this hat. It is the barley hat. And it is made in beautiful Madeline Tosh DK weight yarn. The one section of the barley hat has a section of garter stitch, and then the rest is stockinette, and then you have the ribbing on the bottom. So the yarn really blocked up nicely. It feels nice and soft, and I enjoyed working with the Madeline Tosh label. That was my first time. This is called Western Wash. Did I say that already? It has a combination of turquoise and chocolate variegated, and turned out beautifully. The other barley hat that I made earlier this year that I have not shown yet, it's the exact same design, and it's made in a local yarn, a local dyer, Kettle Dyed Yarns here in Pennsylvania in the Lancaster area, Superwash Merino Wool Wardrobe in the colorway Bodice. And that was also a lovely worsted weight yarn that really worked up very nicely and was fun to work with. So 2 finished objects, and I am glad to be bringing them to conclusion and then starting some other works in progress, which I will talk about with you shortly. I thought I would just pop in here for a moment and show you the progress on the button band. I've gone down the one side. Now I worked across the back, and now I'm coming down the left side, and there's the end. So I'm in the home stretch. Yay! And I've just been able to do this for a short time each day, so it's taking me a little bit longer day-wise. But I thought I would just remind you kind of how this works. For double knitted button band, again, this is the Florence Miller cardigan. I just decided to use a DPN because the other, the cable gets so long as you work your way through that I don't want to even deal with that cable. I'll just use an independent needle here. I'll do this English style so you can see it. So you're knitting one stitch, throw the yarn over, purl wise, but you're slipping that stitch. You're basically knitting every other one. That's a knit stitch. Yarn over, slip that stitch, yarn back, knit the next one, yarn to the front, slip this one, and now in the final one you take the knit through the back loop and also pick up, connecting the button band to the body of the sweater, those two together, knit them through and drop them off. So that's the right side knitting of the button band, just a few stitches, maybe 7 to 9 stitches depending on your pattern. Then you turn your work, so now I'm on the inside of the sweater doing the same thing except opposite, so we're purlwise slipping that first stitch, get the yarn to the back again, knit the next one, yarn to the front, purl, slip it, yarn to the back, knit, yarn to the front again, purl, knit, and slip purlwise. And that's the two sides of that row for the button band. So I'm slowly getting there. I maybe could get this done today. I hope so. I would love to block it. I'm waiting for the buttons to come in the mail, and then I'll get them sewn on. So I'm really in the home stretch, and I'm really looking forward to wearing this Florence Miller cardigan made from Noro yarn in the yen colorway. Let's talk about my works in progress. I've got two things to show you today, and the first is a sock pattern. In my last episode, I talked about how we stopped at a yarn shop in Colorado, and this is what we came out with. I was planning to make a pair of socks for my husband, and I was so glad that he was with me so that he could take a look at all of the different colors and choose what he really liked for himself. And so he did that. And so this is our Colorado yarn. And it is Lin du Nord, made in Italy. And he likes very earthy colors. And so that is what this is, with some olive and forest green and browns and tans, and it's knitting up really in an interesting way, creating a beautiful fabric. If I held it still, maybe you could see it better. Anyway, it's very understated and just what he wanted. And so I'm working at that on 9-inch circular needles. Decided to try that method. I've wanted to make socks for a long time, and I, believe it or not, made lots of other things, mainly sweaters, but this is my first pair of socks. So I went with a design, the vanilla socks, on 9-inch circulars by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady designs, and it's very clear to me what needs to be done. Now I haven't gotten to the heel flap yet, but I've seen that done on other videos, and other people have shown their work in progress on socks, so I think it should be a fairly easy process for me to learn as well. I am using a size 1 US needle, 2.25 millimeter, the circular needle. So I'll try it on circulars. I do have DPNs too. Might give that a try and see which one I like better as I'm working my way down the leg. Or maybe I'll do one sock on one method and the other one on using a different needle. So I'm having fun with this. It's a real adjustment for me with this teeny tiny knitting, but I've gotten good advice from other knitters to grasp the fabric, maybe instead of trying to hold on to the needles. And so some little tips like that have really made a difference for me. And I'm kind of enjoying it. And the thing is, it's such a wonderful travel knit. Not even traveling very far, but just going to somewhere where I know I'll need to wait for a bit, or so it's just so easy to throw in my purse, and I love that about. So I think I will be making more socks. I certainly want to make a pair for myself, and maybe some other family members if they desire to have a pair of hand knit socks. Now the other project that I've had in the works for a while, and have not talked about it yet because I wanted to get far enough along that I knew that I was going to actually be okay with this and continue with it. But I think I am. It's a blanket, it's a throw, something to keep my feet warm when I'm sitting knitting, actually. In the evenings, especially in the wintertime, I like to kick off my socks, I kick off my shoes and just have my sock feet, but my feet can get cold. So just something for on my lap or on my feet, or something to lay over the sofa. So I am adapting the pattern from Magic Mammoth. It's a free pattern, I think. Yeah, it's a free pattern on Ravelry. Garter stitch comfort blanket. So it is a garter stitch, which is what I wanted, but it's a diagonal garter stitch. So you start at the corner and do your increases. And I think that looks pretty cool with the garter stitch running in that direction. And what I decided to do was have these two colors at the two tips of the blanket, and then the rest of the blanket will be this gray color. So just a little strip of color on either corner, and that'll become a little more apparent as I put more gray into it. Then there'll be more gray than there will be of these other colors, but it still will have a splash of color in the corner. This pattern is really, really, really easy, and the increases are done just with yarn over, and that also creates this, oops, there we go, this eyelet effect, these eyelets on the edge of the fabric. So that makes a kind of nice little decorative element to it. That I am using a US size 8 needles, and that seems about right for just a big chunky knit. The yarns I am using, the first one is Patagonia Organic Merino Hand Paint, and this is in the Sahara colorway. It has a lot of red, but also yellow and tans, khaki. Yeah, it's a really nice combination of color. So that was in the one tip of the blanket, and then the next color is also Patagonia Juniper Moon Farm Organic Merino Hand Paints, and this is in the Mojave colorway, mostly yellows and oranges, and that's also really nice weight, and yeah, it's just lovely to work with these different yarns. Oh, and the gray is Woolfolk DK weight in a medium gray, and I have the band somewhere around here. So that will be really the main color once this blanket grows a little bit further. So those are the things I'm working on right now and having fun with. I just wanted to share with you briefly here my excitement that my Christmas cactus actually, I guess it's more of a Thanksgiving cactus, is blooming. Decided to push out a few blooms this year. It's kind of unpredictable. I never quite know if it's going to be 2 flowers or a whole host of flowers, but it is really looking lovely and just makes me smile, makes my day when I come down and see these lovely blooms in mid-November. And I'm fine with it not holding out until Christmas. I'll take the flowers anytime. Well, it is a gloomy gray day outside. It is rainy and cold, and I would like to invite you to join me here by the fire and do some seated stretches. In each of my podcasts, I try to include an option to do a stretch, especially for people who are knitting and crocheting. Do something for the hands or for the arms or the shoulders or even the neck, because those are the areas that are affected when we are sitting for a while and working and concentrating on our stitch pattern or whatever we're doing. So I invite you to find a comfortable seat and sit up nice and tall and take a deep breath in. Big inhale and sigh it out. Take another big breath in, fill your lungs, and sigh it out. Let's do a stretch now that involves the hands and the forearms. And so you will interlace your fingers gently, not the death grip, but just a gentle interlacing of the fingers. Your arms are relaxed. And begin to move at the wrists. Do some wrist rolls with your fingers in this direction. Sometimes we form a figure 8, or maybe your rolls are just an abstract design that has no real direction to it. If you were doing figure 8 or anything else, take it in the other direction. Make your brain work in a different way. Use the other side of your brain and do a few more. And then come to stillness and hold your hands there. Let go and flex the fingers. Do a few sparkle fingers. Roll your shoulders and come to stillness. And one more exercise. Hang in there with me. It won't take very long. I want you to stretch your arms out. Tuck your thumbs inside your wrists, holding wrists out. Maybe they're hip width apart. I'm used to saying hip width for yoga. Shoulder length apart. And then curl or flex your wrists downward. Now, if that causes any pain in your thumbs or in the front of your hands or your forearms, back it off and bring it back. Or maybe let go of your thumbs. Curl them down gently. Another variation of this is to flex the hand down and put some gentle pressure. And other hand, flex the hand down and gentle pressure. You will most likely feel a stretch in your forearm. And that's it. Hands by your heart. Push some gentle pressure into your palms and relax down. Let's talk about a topic that holds a lot of interest for me, has over the years, and that is retirement planning, financial planning, saving for retirement. It is something that we all should be doing from, our 30s, 40s, and onward through life. If you're a very young person and you have access to a 401k, if your employer provides a 403b or a 401k retirement savings plan at work, do take advantage of it if you possibly can. Even just saving a few percent can be helpful because that grows so much over time, over your lifetime, because you have many years ahead of you for that money to grow. Um, Often a company will offer a matching percentage. In my case, my employer right now offers 5%, which is huge. They don't pay so well, but they offer this very nice benefit of 5% match on whatever I contribute into retirement savings. Off of, it comes straight off the paycheck, so you don't see it, and if you get used to it, you won't miss it at all. So start it right away. You if And I am doing the full, well, I'm actually doing over the 5%. I'm doing 10%, but that's just because I'm at a place in my life where I can do that. But if you say you do 5% and the company is giving you 5%, then that's money on the table for you. 5% of your income, each paycheck, is a lot. But if you say, well, I can only do 1% right now, then you then the company will also do 1%. So they will match what you are contributing up to whatever percentage. In my case, it's 5%. It's often 3%. But check with your human resources department and if your company offers a savings plan like that. So that's if you're a young person. And for us older people, we need to look at what we have available and what will take us financially into the future. So my plan is to live until 90. My parents are 90, so I might have a chance at that. I don't know. But knowing that, we have to think, when we stop earning a paycheck, will the money we have saved, will that take me to 90? And that's what I want to talk to you about, and that's why I feel this is so important. Now, say right up front, I am not a financial planner. I said that earlier in the episode. I'm just speaking out of my own experience and some reading that I have done. So I have 7 tips for retirement planning, and excuse me while I refer to notes because I want to make sure that I get it, exactly right. And this is like big picture planning. There's so much out there. If you're interested in reading more or researching, that would be a really great idea. What this would mean for you. I will, since I'm talking about reading, mention a book that I felt was really approachable for just your normal person who is not into finance and investments necessarily. I mean, I do some of that, but I'm not trading every day or something. Um, I have read a book by Susie Ormond, and I'll link it in the description below. It is called The Ultimate Retirement Guide. Susie Ormond, and you may have seen her on public TV or elsewhere, and she has been talking about finances for years, for decades, really. I began listening to her on, I think, a TV show 20 years ago, and just found her approach just really down to earth and easy to understand. So I would really recommend that book to you as something you can check out from your library. It was published in 2020, and I just checked it out as a library book, and then I made 2 pages of notes from it so that I wouldn't forget some of the tips that she had, and of course you can always check it out again. She says things like prepare to live into your 90s, or maybe be on the safe side and assume 100. Prepare for a bear market in retirement. A bear market usually lasts 2 years, and that is a time when the stock market takes a big nosedive, and the biggest one recently was in 2008, 2009, and then we had a small one more recently than that. So what will happen if you're living off of your retirement savings and you have a lot of stock and the market goes down low for 2 years? What will your stream of income be? So she talks about different things like that. So I really recommend that, and I'll put the name of that book in the notes. Tip number 1: what is your debt load now? Do you have a mortgage? Most people do. Do you have credit card debt? Do you have a car payment? And any other kind of debt? Start to having a plan to work on that debt. Maybe as you get closer to when you want to retire, and this is part of figuring out when you can retire. When can you resign your job and say, I'm finished and I don't need to earn income anymore? It's good to have a plan before you do that, so that you can be sure that you don't need to get back into the job market. And maybe you do. People do. They work part-time, and that works as well. But maybe have a plan, plot out your payments, maybe try to pay off your house by the time that the oldest spouse, the oldest one of you, if you're a couple, by the time the oldest person retires. And you could set up your mortgage in a spreadsheet and figure out what you would need to pay, if you can manage that, to pay on top of your mortgage payments, to accelerate that, to pay it off by a certain time, and then put the date and figure out how you're going to work toward that. And that is something that I personally did. My husband is 4 years older than I am, and so we wanted to make sure that the house was paid off by the time he retired, and we set that as a goal, and we disciplined ourselves to make those extra payments, which is not always easy. And did we skip one or two? Yeah, we did. It's voluntary. You do what you can do, but that is a nice goal to have. Work at also paying off credit cards. Credit card debt is very expensive. The interest rates are really high. Try to pay off your credit cards. And then if you can manage to pay them month to month and not carry any debt, that is really the best place to be in. Tip number 2: make sure that your investment accounts, your life insurance policies, your 401k, your savings plans, all of your investments have beneficiaries attached to them. So you would be, maybe your spouse is a benefit, or maybe you're the owner of the account, your spouse is your primary beneficiary, maybe kids or nieces or nephews are your secondary, your contingent beneficiary. Make sure that those names are in the account. Contact the company. Sometimes you can do that online. It means sending in personal information like social security numbers. So just be aware of how you send that information to the company so that they can attach those beneficiaries to your accounts. That will help in the probate process at the end. That will help the money to just move seamlessly to whoever you have named there. I could tell you a story of, I worked in human resources for many years. I still am, but I'm part-time now. And there's a story of an employee who tragically died, a young person, and she didn't have any beneficiaries listed with her company paid life insurance. And so the family missed out on over $20,000 that could have been a payout to help with the funeral expenses or whatever. Um, so I try to encourage employees to attach to do their beneficiaries if their employer offers life insurance, and many employers do. If you work full time, that is often a benefit. So check with your human resource department, or look at your policy online and see if there's a way that you look for a way to put a beneficiary to your investment accounts and your life insurance policies. Tip number 3, meet with an attorney and make a will. Maybe you already have one, and if you do, that's great. Look it over periodically. Are there any updates that need to be done? Did you name other family members as guardians for your children, and now your children have grown and you no longer need to have that situation spelled out in your will? When we were very young and made our first will, we named my parents as guardian to our son, and now he's married and an adult, and so that needed to be changed. Tip number 4, track what income you need to live on at your desired lifestyle in retirement. What lifestyle would you like to have? Do you want to maintain your current lifestyle? Do you take an international vacation every year and you need to budget for that expense, those thousands of $4,000 or whatever it takes to go to Europe? Have an idea of what you are spending now and track that. Track your expenses. I track our finances in a software called Quicken. It's the simpler version of QuickBooks, which some small companies use. The Quicken I've used for many years, and there are other softwares out there, but it's very easy to track all of put the credit card bills in there and assign, this was for housing allowance, this was for vacation, this was for auto expenses. And then you can run a report and you can see at the end of the year the totals in those categories. And then you have a pretty good idea of what your expenses are year over year. And then that will help you to plan for retirement, because you will know what you need to have saved in order to retire at a certain period in your life and still have an income stream and cover those expenses. Tip number 6, find a financial planner and ask them to meet with you on several occasions, and that can be done by Zoom. We've done meetings like that, virtual meetings with someone in, I don't know where they were, Chicago or somewhere, but find someone that you can connect with. At my workplace, our retirement company offers financial planning, and sometimes you have to pay for it. In some scenarios, we do not have to, and we can talk to someone for free. It's part of a benefit that comes with our retirement company. So we can meet with that person and ask them to run a Monte Carlo analysis, and I'll put that on the screen. That is a really great way. It's a software that financial planners use, and it is a statistical method used to model the probability of different outcomes by running thousands of simulations to see if your savings, the amount of savings that you have, will last into advanced age, until you're 90 or more. So you can, once you figure out all of your assets, what are all of your savings, they can take that amount, Let's say you want to live to 90 and the software runs lots of simulations. What if this? What if that? And you can figure out, they can tell you with a reasonable amount of certainty whether your amount of savings will last you that long. Wow, that is so helpful to know, so comforting. Uh, it seems like it's such a big unknown. What will the medical expenses be? That is the big unknown, and I think that's our big fear is, will we be in a place where we need to pay out so many medical expenses that it will take us under? But this is one way to predict that with a high amount of certitude, whether you'll be in good financial shape for whatever comes. And part of medical situations would be part of those simulations that this software runs. Okay, tip number 7, continue working part-time beyond 65 if you are pretty sure you don't have enough retirement savings. And maybe you want to work after 65 even if you do. Maybe you enjoy your work. Maybe your employer has said, yeah, we'd like you to stay. In my situation, I was very, very fortunate that when I made that request, they said that would work in their positions. So that's what I'm doing. I've been able to cut back to 20 hours a week and still have a schedule and a routine and make a contribution and consult with human resources issues and take care of their payroll and their benefits and compensation and things, and still have another part of my life that I teach yoga and I knit. You know that. Tip number 7, the last one, and there are many other tips, so if you have some and put to contribute, please put them in the comments below. There's so much I could talk about here, but I want to keep this contained and keep it interesting. But if you have enough money saved, if your Monte Carlo analysis shows that you do have enough money saved for retirement, and your income is exceeding your expenses right now, month to month, why not consider waiting to take your Social Security until you're closer to the age of 70? And that will give you more money per month. There is a break-even point. I forget what they say. If it's in the early 80s, so it's at some point you do find there is a break-even point where if you would have taken it earlier, it would be the same as if you take it later and get the larger amount. But this is a nice strategy to do, and that's what I'm going to do is hold out a little bit longer and then get a larger monthly payment. Not everyone knows that is the case, although I think Social Security does send mailings and emails, and they do outline that for you. So if you log on to your individual account at socialsecurity.gov, then you will see where you are in that age bracket and what will happen if you take Social Security now, or when you're 62, or when you're 65, 67. They have it all on a nice graph for you to see and make that decision. So as I said, there's much more to talk about with this. This is just a high-level overview, something for you to think about, and please leave comments below what tips that you have for retirement savings. thanks so much for watching today. Isn't it wonderful to be part of the warm knitting community worldwide? It's so amazing to think that people are watching from all over the world. So if you like watching my channel, please subscribe. I'd love to read your comments. Let me know what you're working on, and if you have tips for retirement planning, as we talked about in today's episode. I would like to do a future episode about the process of becoming part of a retirement community, selecting a home to live, selecting a community that feels good to you, and what that process is like. We are in that process right now, my husband and I, and so I thought I would document some of that just to give additional information. If people are not familiar with that, how that would work. And every community is different, but I can only speak for what we are experiencing now, and it has been a good process. So that may be something in the next episode, so stay tuned if that's of interest to you. And have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.